Hey guys, Level Cap here. Today is Monday. It's time for an episode of Loadout, the series where you guys, the viewers, get to pick a weapon and customization for me to use. Now, I have the hiccups today, and I am going to try and do commentary with hiccups because I am kind of strapped for time, and I cannot wait for them to go away. So you're going to have to just bear through this, hopefully not too horrible episode of Loadout. God damn it. And honestly, I thought it would be kind of entertaining to do an episode of Loadout with the hiccups. Today's top comment comes from Tyre Erickson, and his comment is so crazy long that I can't put the whole thing on screen, but I will read it to you. He says, Spetsnaz Commando / Spetsnaz Counterterrorism Operative CTO will be in its own comment. So he actually wrote two loadout comments here, both of which actually got pretty decent upvotes, and I picked this one. So Spetsnaz Commando preferred class is support, primary weapon AKU-12 carbine, attachments Cobra optical sight, any laser sight or tac light. I use the laser sight, the PBS-4 suppressor, which I actually am using, and he also gives the option of using the heavy barrel, so I did alternate between the two depending on the map out I was playing. Recoil is low enough that it doesn't matter. Angled, folding, or stubby grip, just in case you want extra accuracy. I went with the stubby grip. Camo options, spray, autumn, flat wood. He recommends spray autumn, so I went with that. Sidearm, MP443. And the attachments I used were iron sights, laser sight, and I used a suppressor as well. Ammo box up, obviously, ANC4, RGO Impact, or V40 Minis. I went with the V40 Minis. Now, I actually like the AKU-12. It's not a great gun because it has that lower rate of fire, but its recoil is so low that you can use things like the heavy barrel on there and actually get very accurate kills at longer ranges. Now, suppressor ended up being a little bit more useful for me personally because I like to stay off that mini-map, and because you have a weapon that really doesn't shoot very fast and we're playing the support class so we can't heal, you basically need to try and avoid taking damage as much as possible, and the suppressor really helps out with that. Now, for playing a map like Zavad 311 Team Deathmatch, it is way more effective to run with suppressor than a heavy barrel, even though you might think at first that, oh hey, heavy barrel is going to allow you to hit guys from long range, and this map has a lot of long range targets. It is essentially chaos, especially when you're hanging out in the bush and around containers. You just need to stay off that mini map, and this clip here is actually a great example of just why the suppressor is so useful, because guys know I'm in this general vicinity because they're seeing dead bodies appear on their map, but they don't know where I am specifically. So I'm really able to stay alive a lot longer without the use of a med pack at all. Now, when you switch over to a map that's less chaotic and has more paths, more lanes, and stuff like that, so your team is really pushing from one singular direction, and a suppressor isn't quite as important, especially if you're playing next to other players a lot, then I will often switch over to a heavy barrel to try and benefit from the increased accuracy. Heavy barrel, you will need to essentially burst fire this weapon a bit more, especially at the longer ranges, but the accuracy benefit from this is going to really allow you to take people out at ranges that they aren't going to expect to see somebody with a carbine even engage them at. Now let's bring up the AKU-12 stats from Simthic.com and really analyze the heck out of this gun, see what it's good for. It does have a rate of fire of 680 rounds per minute, which unfortunately is never going to allow it to be a really good close quarter weapon, but I found that if you aimed for the head and really made sure to be that accurate and just get your shots going to the head every single time, you were able to win a lot of close quarter firefights. Obviously that goes for any gun out there, but it's especially important with lower rate of fire weapons. You're really going to want to aim for the head more often than not. Now, its bullet velocity is only 450 meters per second, which means if you do end up putting a suppressor on here, you're probably not going to suffer too much in FPS reduction. So suppressor really doesn't hurt this gun too bad. The heavy barrel does improve its accuracy, and you do maintain slightly faster bullet velocity, but it really just depends on the map how much you think a suppressor is going to help you out. If you don't think it's really going to be that big of a benefit, then use the heavy barrel. A nice thing about the AKU-12 is that it has a pretty darn fast short reload time of 2.05 seconds, and that's going to be really nice for just getting those reloads off in close quarters. You rarely are going to burn through your whole magazine, especially considering it's a lower rate of fire. You can usually make more efficient use of each bullet, so you're not going to need all 30 rounds to take down one or two guys. So that short reload time, you're pretty much going to be hitting all the time. 2.05 is nice. It's not the best out there, but it's seriously like a tenth of a second within some of the best reload times in the game. Now the recoil really is one of the best features of this carbine. It's got a 0.5 pull left, which is really on the high side, but only a 0.2 pull right, and because its rate of fire is only 680, this is very manageable. Also, its vertical recoil is extremely low. 2.4 vertical with a 1.8 first shot recoil multiplier makes it one of the lowest recoil carbines available, and so this is basically going to be very, very easy to control. You really don't have to put anything on this gun to help with recoil control. You can basically just put things up on this weapon to improve its accuracy, or try and silence it with the suppressor. But that's why I like to run stubby grip overall, because you really don't need to control any of that recoil, and if you can make it even more accurate, then it's going to become a more effective long range weapon. Now its hip fire accuracy is very basic with 2.0, which isn't bad, and putting a laser sight on there is going to make it a little bit better, but ultimately I feel that running without the laser sight would be a little bit more effective. And the way I kind of justify running without laser sights is that the amount of time I think it gives away my position or alerts somebody to the fact that I'm aiming directly at them happens way more frequently than the time that I'm actually trying to hip fire somebody in close quarters. Now if you were playing a map that was nothing but close quarters, like No Char Canals in Battlefield 3, then I could absolutely justify using a laser pointer, but there's very few maps in BF4 that offer you nothing but close quarter combat, and since you can't really keep yourself to that kind of engagement range, then I really don't see the benefit in using the laser pointer too frequently here. Now I was trying to use the C4 a bit more tactically as I was gaming, because when you have C4 it is fun to get kills with it, and our team was getting trashed. I mean, look at the ticket count here. We were just getting wrecked so hard, so I was trying to play defensively, and in that situation C4 actually can be a practical weapon to use. But this ramp here, it was like literally I just couldn't push past this marker here. Their whole team was basically just coming up and they would wipe us out. But this was one of the few areas on the map that I was like, yeah, we're gonna hold them, and we actually did hold them for a bit longer. And I think me just being on this map and stopping their most aggressive teammates from pushing up past this point actually did make a big difference. Now this next round, played on Langkang Dam on Domination, rarely do I find that I'm having a really engaging or intense game of domination. It feels like most people play it like it's team deathmatch, and honestly a lot of people aren't really in the wrong doing so, because you get so little points from actually trying to get the objective on Domination. I think it's like 25 points for a capture, 100 points for a kill. You do the math, it seems to be much more worthwhile to just go around and try and kill people. But when you do get a close game going, it can be really fun to try and hold off an objective, and so that's what I was doing here with some C4, really trying to hold off one of these stairways, and I managed to get a lot of kills and just stop them from getting up here and taking a point from us. And so in this moment here, we were down easily over 100 tickets, and we managed to capture all 3 points, and our team was doing a good enough job of keeping them off of all of them, and I felt it was sort of my duty to try and hold a point here, and we held them for a long time, and you'll see how close the ticket count gets at the end of the game. But overall, got a little off topic there. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Loadout. I sincerely apologize for my hiccups. Again, sometimes when you get into a time crunch, you just gotta record when you got time to record. Hiccups or no hiccups. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave your Loadout comments in the video description, and I will pick one of the top rated ones for the next episode. As always, guys, I'll see you next time, and this is Level Cap signing off.